My name is Flo, or Florent Thevenin. I'm the founder and CEO of Blockchain North and BlockFlo Digital. Blockchain North is the first Canadian media company dedicated to the blockchain space. And BlockFlo Digital is a digital marketing services company. So what I like to say is anything we do with Blockchain North in terms of social media, video production, copywriting, we can do it for clients as well. I mean, 2024 has been a milestone year. You know, we started in January with the ETFs. Well, January for Bitcoin and July for Ethereum. We had the halving, which is, of course, a predictable event. And more recently, the change in narrative around crypto, especially in the United States, starting with Trump and with the others following suit. So I think that positions us for a very strong 2025. I don't make any financial predictions, but I think it's pretty clear at this point that crypto is here to stay. Specific trends, I mean, there are many. If I think about Canada, I think stablecoin legislation is fundamentally important. Next year is also an election year here in Canada, so I think a lot of people have high expectations, especially from candidate Pierre Poilievre, and to see, how can that support our homegrown industry here in Canada. Stablecoins are fundamentally important, right? I mean, it's kind of the medium of exchange of the medium of exchange, right? It's like the entry point for people into the crypto space. So, most countries that we compete against have legislation in place and we don't. So we're at a disadvantage. In terms of regulation, I mean, I do think Canada in that area is relatively well positioned or competitive. The problem is that Canada has different legislations between Quebec, Ontario, Alberta, and other parts of the country. Alberta is clearly the front runner in terms of, openness, in terms of clarity and support for the industry. It's time for, we'll never have national regulation because we're not set up that way, but maybe some kind of harmonization would be really good. I'm a Gemini, so I have two ways to look at it, right? So the first way, which is probably my favorite way, is that it doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, we're talking about technology. The way it might matter is that things might go a bit faster or a bit slower, but the trend is up, is more. Crypto is here to stay, as I was saying. So I don't think the election really is going to make that big of a difference. And I also think that Trump talks a good game, but he might actually disappoint, right? And also the realities of, running a country like the United States. You've got the Congress, you've got different factions. So that's my first point of view. The second point of view would be, Trump has definitely come out this year as a pro-crypto, pro-Bitcoin candidate. He spoke at Nashville. That's in and of itself, to have a former presidential candidate speak at a crypto conference. It's amazing. I wish we could have some of that here in Canada. So, of course, the industry is going to be more pro-Trump because of that, but I think most people are realistic about their expectations. Yeah, well, I think WonderFi has a pretty good idea of what the response has been. I mean, the response has been that we've seen like record volumes, record investment in a very short amount of time. I think the Bitcoin ETF has so far, or some of them, been the most invested in ETFs ever, in a very short amount of time. And now Ethereum also beating records, not exactly as Bitcoin, but still pretty high. So I think, ETFs are kind of the realistic point of view for how people are going to enter this market. Not everyone is going to want to go to a crypto exchange, fund it, perhaps cold store their crypto. It's just a lot easier for the mom and pops, right? So the ETFs are huge. The only question that remains is, Wall Street entering the crypto space. Is that really desirable? What will be the long-term repercussions? Who knows? Some people talk about game theory, right? I mean, initially it's like El Salvador that adopts it and people are kind of like very skeptical, and then they start looking at it and ends up going pretty well. And, now we're at a place where we have BlackRock, we have Wisconsin adopting, we have, European countries and pension funds starting to look at crypto. So a lot of high net worth individuals as well. So, I mean, it's pretty clear the way it's going to play. BlackRock did not invest so many resources, hire so many people, and now, they're promoting crypto ETFs to just drop it in 6 months or in a year. So I think we're just going to be seeing more adoption, and for good reason. That's a huge question because, of course, Bitcoin is the, 1,000-pound gorilla in the space, perhaps followed by Ethereum and Solana. But I don't know. Last time I checked, there were 30 or 40,000 different cryptos. And certainly the vast majority of them are useless, let's put it this way. But there are still quite a few use cases, things like supply chain management, the opportunity for payments. That's a huge thing. It's probably one of the biggest use cases. If you think about how many new Canadians are sending remittances back to their countries, whether it be in Latin America, Africa, or Asia, for example, and how much they've traditionally been paying in terms of fees, right? And even if you think about Canadians that don't have that challenge, that are banked, that have all the facilities, interact, whatever they want, the fees are still pretty high, and the systems are still very inefficient, especially in terms of final settlement. So, yeah, no, I mean, payments and crypto, use cases are plenty. And of course, there will be sort of a cleansing of the ecosystem and only the best will prevail. I think it's pretty clear that one of the biggest headwinds internally for the industry, so maybe it's not a headwind, but it's like, an internal challenge, has been things like the FTX collapse, Celsius, Luna. There's many others, of course, but, because that's for our reputation as an industry is terrible, and there's still quite a bit of, let's say, rug pulling, going on right now. So the cleansing will basically streamline the industry, and we'll just have the people that are serious, that are compliant, that are regulated, and at the end of the day, that are trying to position themselves for some real utility remain. And then people will finally realize, it's kind of like, if the sea drops, the people without their pants are showing. I don't know what the expression is, but you know what I mean. Like, we'll basically see who's real in the market. Blockchain North is here because there's a gap in the market in terms of, informing people from a sort of independent media point of view, like you have in the US, Bitcoin Magazine, Cointelegraph, Blockworks. We have none of them, and we're one of the pioneers. So I can't speak for WonderFi, but I would say as an industry, we definitely need to communicate more, especially here in Canada. Like, one of the things Canada is perhaps less good, certainly less good than the US at, is being more promotional, a bit more boastful. We are pioneers of this space. We can't forget that, right? And I don't believe we've lost our leadership entirely yet. I think we could still, perhaps with a different leadership next year, more favorable policies, still be seen as a thriving market for crypto. I think what I want to get across is that we are here, first of all, we're here for the industry. I mean, we're a startup. A media startup is hard to build. A media startup in crypto is 1,000 times harder to build, right? So maybe that's a bit much, but 100 times. So yeah, I just want people to know that we're here, that we exist, that we're here for the industry. We're very committed to the community. We love to partner with organizations like WonderFi. Dean spoke on our last Twitter space. We interact with a lot of players in the industry, and yeah, we're here to support and basically spotlight, in particular, Canada, but also inform people in general about what's happening in the world of crypto.